Hey everybody, welcome to the Herd Fit Podcast with Dr. Sam Rhee and myself, Coach David Syvertsen. This podcast is aimed at helping anyone and everyone looking to enhance their healthy lifestyle through fitness, nutrition, and most importantly, mindset. All right, welcome back to the Herd Fit Podcast. I am Coach David Syvertsen here with Dr. and Coach Sam Rhee. We are here for another episode of the Herd Fit Podcast. We are going to break down the age group semifinal workouts. We know that a lot of our listeners are in that tier, that group of people. Just looking back at some of our past downloads when we talk about the age group stuff and the quarterfinals, there's a lot of people that listen in on that. So kind of want to break down, just a little disclaimer, it's not going to be too much about me and my workouts. I really kind of want to break the workouts down. I will obviously give some personal experience, but more on breaking down the programming, because we did that for the Open. We did that for quarters. I want to do that for semis. And then once the games happen, I kind of want to break some of that stuff down too. We just got done with it. We started Thursday afternoon / Thursday night, and it just ended Sunday morning / Sunday afternoon for everybody. And Sam and I both just got done doing Murph. And yes, I did do it after the weekend. I felt like we watched Lone Survivor last night, Ash and I, and just feel like after you watch that movie, which has Murph in it, if anyone wants to know, you almost feel like you have to do it, no matter how sore, how tired you are. Sam, from your perspective, we'll break down each workout by workout. Just what were your view? Because you keep a close eye on a lot of this stuff with the Open, the quarterfinals, the semis. What are your thoughts on the semi workouts?
It's interesting. I think Adrian Bosman said he was extremely excited about this programming. He kept a close eye on it. I think the general opinion out there was that it was very positive. I think I actually, it's so funny. Andrew Hiller drives me nuts about a lot of stuff, but he has some good points. It's just surrounded by like this crazy language and about 20 minutes of junky stuff in it. But but his point was it was good, and he said it was sort of geared toward the bigger athlete, which I would have to agree. I watched you do most of the workouts, and I know that it's so hard to get a hot take after something like this, especially if you're not meeting the expectations that you had set for yourself.
Absolutely, yeah.
And some of it, for me, is talking to you because I know you don't want to make it about yourself, but I do find it really important for me to learn from other athletes. They always say, right, you learn more from your failures than your successes.
100%.
And so rather than me trying these workouts, which I can't do really, and failing, I would rather listen to you and what your takeaway is and your mental mindset and how you approached every workout and what you thought the whole thing represented for you.
Definitely. We'll dive into each workout, but big picture, I agree with you. I track all the semifinal workouts from obviously the age group, but also the semifinals that Joe Pierre was going to, which was our last week's episode, the Mid-Atlantic, the Syndicate Crown, even the Lowlands, Torian, South Africa. I look at all the semifinal programming, and I think, in my opinion, the age group semifinal workouts were the best ones, and they were the ones that were programmed by CrossFit. CrossFit gave 2 workouts to all of the semifinals that they had to do, and they kind of give parameters for what they had to do on the other ones. But I felt that these workouts were the best tests of fitness, and this is coming from someone that just came in 28th out of 30 people in my age group. And I will say, I think this was the best program that found the fittest in that group.
It seems like this is one of the few beginning workout events where Dave Castro's touch wasn't on them. So the Open had his fingers all over it.
Great point.
Quarters. And for example, we'll get into it, but we've never seen bench press. But there are a lot of things in here are a very different take on what CrossFit is. I love Dave Castro. I thought his programming was amazing, but I think it also bodes well for the people who are programming now.
Yeah, and I mean that I'm on the same page as you that programming, I've always said this, programming, there is talent within it. It is hard, but it's not rocket science. You can't come at Dave Castro is the only one that knows how to program. And I think now that he's out, you see some of these rising stars or some of these behind the scenes guys like Adrian Bosman who know CrossFit to its core, but they also know CrossFit games to the core. There's a difference, but you can blend the two. And I thought the programming that Adrian put together for the Age Online was some of the best I've ever seen. So we can dive into the first one. Sam, what was the first workout?
The first one was, now we're going to just go off the men 35 to 39 because that's what you did.
Yep.
slightly different for everyone else. Women, different age groups, but we'll just go off the 35, 39.
Yep.
It was a 500-meter row, 30 bench press, 1,000-meter row, 20 bench press, 2,000-meter row, 10 bench press at 185, time kept 30 minutes. I'll tell you what my take when I first looked at it, I was like, not so bad.
Yeah.
And then I watched you do it, and I was like, really, really bad.
Yeah. This was the workout that surprised me more than any workout that has surprised me in CrossFit over the past, I'd say, 5 to 6 years. I mean that. And what's really cool about this workout, a lot of people don't know this, this was a CrossFit.com main site workout in 2006, but the weight was body weight. So the workout was the same workout, same reps, but it was your body weight on the barbell. And it was kind of cool. Sean Woodland talked about what the times were, because back in the day, that's what you did. You went to CrossFit.com, you posted your name, and Josh Bridges was on there, Adrian Bosman was on there. In the mid-20s, I think it was like 22, 23 minutes for those guys who were benching 165 at the time, because that's their body weight. It was just cool that there's like, that's what's cool about having Adrian involved in this stuff. There's history involved that some people probably don't even know, they don't even care about. But to me, I think that's really cool. So I looked at that workout, and this just goes to show how wrong I was about it. I was like, I think I could be top 5 in that workout. And because I'm very confident on the rower, and I did row well. But the bench press, I don't bench that much, but I've always kind of looked at it as a movement like I benched a lot growing up. Like I'm fine. And I got slapped in the face by that bench. And it's not a heavy bench for me. I want to say that's probably, if anyone wants to put it in perspective, about 65%, 60% of a 1 rep max. And what's funny about that kind of workout, I'm trying to think, like, channel my inner Hinshaw, is your upper body gets so fatigued to the point where I couldn't get off the bench and go do a bench press, a push-up, my pecs and triceps, and there's nothing else on your body that can help you out with that movement. So once like that lactate threshold builds up, like once you blow through it, there's nothing that you can call in reserve to kind of flush it out.
Like a handstand push-up.
Yeah, exactly. And it's exactly like that. Like if everyone's ever been at like sheer failure on a handstand push-up, that's the point I got to. And usually in CrossFit workouts that are intense, anytime you're trying to go fast but try to blow through upper body failure, you're kind of screwed for that workout. And I kind of felt that right away on the set of 30. And so I bled through the 30 a little slower than I wanted to. I was pissed. So I got on the 1,000-meter row and rode it pretty fast. And then I got to the set of 20, and that's when I got really slapped in the face. I was projecting about 1:30 to get those 20 done, and it took me 4:23. And that's when I knew. I'm like, yep, I just got my butt kicked. And I finished the workout, obviously, one of the more miserable 2K rows of my entire life. Got the 10 done, and I think I was in the 20s. And the next day, I ended up doing it again because, again, for the sake of the competition, right? It's like, hey, if I can get a few more points, I need to get to. And I did. I went 2 minutes faster, and this should be a lesson that we've talked about in this podcast several times. The only difference I did, and I was sore as anything, was I paced it. Elena. I paced. But what I did was I laid in bed that night disappointed and said, basically, I rode everything in about 12 minutes. So that means it took me 8 minutes to do 60 bench press reps. So that means, on average, I was doing 7 to 8 reps per minute. So if I can figure out a way to get 10 to 11 reps per minute, I will be faster, right? So that's what I did. I did 5 bench press, rested about 20 seconds. 5 bench press, rested 20 seconds. 5 bench press, and that alone just put me ahead of a pace, and that's what got me better.
This is a big guy workout too. It's a machine plus 60 bench press. Mm-hmm. And so if you're a big guy, you should be able to do really well on it.
Yep.
And if you look at the numbers of the top athletes, they friggin', where was it, like 15?
I think a couple guys might have even broken 15. And the 2 guys that are at the top of the division after the whole weekend, Sam Dancer and this guy, I can't pronounce his name, from Greece, but I looked him up on Instagram. He's scary. He's huge. And both those guys probably row, extremely fast. And when you weigh more and you have longer levers, it is easier to row. So if these guys are both pushing, I think 220, which is huge for a CrossFitter, and they rode their butt off, but they also, looks like they did the bench press. I just did some quick math in my head. They probably did the bench press in 2 sets on the 30s and 20s. So that just means they're incredibly strong and have incredible power. And what Bob Jennings always says, like, this programming for these is about sustained power. So, like, everyone could be powerful for like a minute on the rower. Can you be powerful for 15 minutes on the rower? And that's what those guys have.
I would like to try this workout myself at 135 and see where I go with it. Like that's how good this programming was. I looked at it and I was like, I want to try it all scaled down, but I felt like I want to see what that feels like to get slapped in the face on that 20.
Yeah.
Because I saw it and I'm like, again, misleading when you look at it and then you do it and you're just like, whoa.
Yeah. I mean, I failed. So the first time I did it, I failed 3 reps during my set of 20. I think it was 3. And the fails, they kill you in a workout like this because you rest 15 seconds, you fail a rep, now you have to rest 40 more before you get one, right? So like that alone just adds like minutes to your workout. But I have never in my life failed a 185 bench press. And like that's what's cool. Like I can remove myself from like my own emotion about my own performance. That's what's cool about this stuff. CrossFit is humbling. Not just in like, I did good, I did bad. It make you fail at things that you've never failed at before.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know, and it really is a cool thing and unique. And that's why I think CrossFit works so well. So yeah, that workout was definitely big guy favored. The guys that did do really well, great aerobic capacity, but also just good on the rower. So if you weigh more, it helps a little bit more. And and what can you do better to do better at that workout is bench more. Because honestly, there's not much else you can do to get better at bench.
Obviously, you're pretty disappointed after the first time. You redid it. You got faster.
Yep.
How did you think after this first one that you were doing?
I went into the weekend saying that I needed this one to be good. Like I knew that when I saw the programming a week ahead of time, I knew I would have a bad couple of events. But because there's only 30 people, you can afford to have a ranking of 25th out of 30 in a workout. Maybe, but you'd have to kill everything else. And this was one of the ones I thought I would kill. And that was like just immediately like, wow, this is real. Like these guys, that's when I looked at this group of guys. I'm like, just all the respect to them. Like the fitness level of these guys is just incredible. It's hard to be really good at both of those movements. And there's 30 guys that were really good at it.
This 35 to 39 is no joke. A lot of them, they just broke in. They're killing it. I mean, these guys are, I don't know how they do on the individual side, but they're right there.
Yeah, I mean, Sam Dancer would have made his semifinal if he did not want to go Masters. I think I even think the top 10 guys from our group could have competed at a semifinal if they wanted to. Made the games, maybe it would have been close, but I think now, like I started watching the sport pretty closely about 10 years ago, maybe 9 years ago. And those guys were all 25 at the time, and they had their time. Maybe disappeared for a couple of years because you get older. You're competing against 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds. But now all those guys are 35, and that's what I think CrossFit is needing to see. Even Rich Froning just recently said, next year I'm a Masters.
Yep.
Like everybody is going to get there. And some of these guys that have that competitive fire, you get to age 31, 32, 33. It's like, all right, I can't just hang with those young guys anymore. But once they turn 35, it can reignite that fire. And Sam Dancer is still Sam Dancer.
Listen, Dan Bailey, James Hobart, they did not even make it to this level. So you got to see where these guys are coming from right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
All right, workout number 2, 8 rounds for time, 1 legless rope climb, 6 farmer's carries at 70 pounds.
Yeah.
And then 15 box jumps, 30 inches.
Yeah.
Time cap 20.
Yep. So this was a workout that I viewed as like another one that was kind of like in the middle, where like I didn't think I would kill it, but I didn't think I'd do that poorly. So I was like, all right, just kind of get some damage control, maybe exceed expectations a little bit. And I had a goal. I practiced a couple little things early in the week. I had a goal of being under, I think it was 13 minutes, and I thought that would be, again, pretty competitive. And this is where I just underestimated the group who I was competing against. I want to say in the back, I think I was 13:30, and I think I came in 28th out of 30. And I remember looking at that, and that was the sign, even more than the bench press one, where I was like, this group they are monsters. And I know exactly what happened. And I view, whenever I see legless rope climbs in a workout, I'm like, all right, it's a legless workout. They got to chill there. At this stage, if you're the top 30 out of 3,000, everybody can legless. Like, you're not going to get there if you can't. It would be very rare to someone that can't legless. And I think I'm kind of disappointed the fact that that's what I was looking at. I just saw legless. I'm like, all right, you got to go. And farmer carry is like, that's a grippy workout. Make sure you rest on the box jump so that your grip is good enough for those legless. And so I stepped off the box on, there's 120 box jumps, right? I stepped off on 115 of them, I think.
So you stepped down instead of jumping down.
Yeah. So not only did and I also don't rebound box jumps. And I made that decision a few years ago because of calf issues, Achilles issues. But I am now kind of formulating that thought. That's one of the things I've reflected on, that if you do want to compete at the highest level, I don't want to say compete in general. Just if you want to compete at the highest level, you have to rebound. And anyone that does not know what rebound is, you have to jump off the box and spring off the ground and then jump back onto the box. Jumping off the box, landing, and then jumping back up, that's not rebounding. It's literally like you're jumping on a trampoline. The rubber ground is a trampoline to you. You hit it and you bounce back up.
Yeah, but what's the elastic part of it? That's your Achilles tendon.
Yes, and there have been a lot of Achilles injuries. I shouldn't say a lot, but there have been more than we want to admit of Achilles injuries where people, they do that all the time. A random WOD in the middle of August just because they want the fast time. And I can tell that the fastest times, like I lost by 2 minutes and 30 seconds in that workout. Stepping off a box versus rebounding, 120 reps, is probably worth a second to a second and a half per rep. So that means that's probably 2 to 3 minutes of just that. So if I rebounded every single rep, which I don't even know if I could, to be honest with you, that would be 2 to 3 minutes faster. Those were the top scores. And so I think that's where the margin in that workout was, and I just didn't even see it that way. Like, I viewed it as, Dave, save your grip, take 45 seconds per set of box jumps, and then go. But it wasn't fast enough.
No, these guys just sent it every time.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think that's just something, that's my takeaway, that if anyone, wants to compete at the highest level, like, that's going to be something, like, I hate saying it, and this is where sport needs to separate from health. Those are some of the risks you're going to have to take. I wouldn't say you need to box jump or rebound box jump every single time you do box jumps in a workout, but it's something that should be practiced. And I have to put some thought into, A, do I want to do that? But B, coaching that. Do I have people do that once every 2 weeks, once every 3 weeks? Do I just start off with a low box, 12 inches, 18 inches, 20, just to kind of practice the skill and the timing? It's something you have to put some thought into.
Because it's 30 inches here.
Yeah, that was 30 inches, yep. Yeah. And in addition, I'm not a good jumper, so that's also part of that.
All right. The next workout was actually a repeat. It was from last year's 2021 online individual semifinal. It was a snatch ladder. Complete as many reps in 10 minutes of 10 snatches at 135, rest 1 minute, 10 snatches at 185, rest 1 minute, 10 snatches at 225, rest 1 minute, and then max rep snatches in the time remaining at 245.
What are your thoughts on that?
It's funny. I talked to Justin Lascala, who is in the 45 to 49, and they didn't, the scaling from the 45 to 49 to 50 to 54 was insanely, the step off was huge. It was literally, they accidentally dropped the 50 to 54, I think, and it went like to 115, 135, 185, like 205 or something ridiculous like that. And I was like, damn, like this is sort of, or it's like kind of doable almost.
Yeah, right.
But for this, I mean, he was like, how many people in my division can actually snatch 225?
And that's only the third bar.
Yeah. And it's like crazy. I mean,
that's a discussion I would love to have with some people that are kind of in the know at some point. Is generally speaking, they don't change weights for age groups until 55 usually.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be 50 now for this stage.
Yeah.
I think they should start scaling it every 10 years. Yeah. So at 45, they should not be doing the weights that 35s are.
I would love that.
Yeah. And I don't know where, like, I remember I took that master's course online, the CrossFit master's course, and like I don't know where they just came up with that. Like that the 55 group, that's when you start changing weights. Like I don't know if there's any science behind it or any research. That's something that we talked about with new leadership, Rosa, data collection. How many of these people in these age groups are actually moving that kind of weight? Why would you test it?
The problem is that in 10 years, when you guys are all aging up into this, they're going to need to weight creep up higher.
Yeah.
Because the Sam dancers and all these guys are going to be now at 50 and they're going to be snatching 305 or something ridiculous.
If we're not in wheelchairs.
Right, with ulnar collateral tears. But I mean, this I think they wanted to do this just so that they could look at the numbers from 2021 with the individuals and compare them to the masters and get some comparative data on that.
Could be.
But 225, pretty friggin' heavy.
Yeah, that workout is, I mean, I would say this, in the open and in the quarterfinals, heavy Olympic lifting was not tested. So you knew something was coming, and it ended up being, we'll talk about it later, it ended up being two heavy Olympic lifts. And that's a foundation of the sport. For me personally, it's always been a shortcoming. But for the sport, it's always been you need to be able to ollie pretty heavy. And if you don't, it's not that you're out or you suck. You just need to be very, very good at other things. And so you kind of knew something like this was coming. And I do like the fact that it wasn't lazy. Hey, 1 rep max snatch.
Right.
Like it was a workout. Like everyone could do the 135 for the most part, 185. And that's where at the 185 is when you start to see the separation. Is I did slow singles, and I don't know, with about 15, 20 seconds in between, I bet some of those guys were going touch and go for 10 in a row.
Absolutely.
And then they get to 225. I bet some of those could have even been touch and go. Because remember, it was not a squat snatch. It was just a snatch. So I do like the fact, I do think the jumps in weight could have been less, but again, this is coming from someone that's biased that I'm just not good. I think that the workout filled what they wanted to. You found out who can really lift in that workout, and that's the point of that test. I personally was not worried about it because I knew I wouldn't do well. So it wasn't like, man, I hope I do this. Like I didn't do as well as I wanted to, but my 1 rep max snatch is 235. So I got to 225 hoping I would get a few. I got one. I failed it 4 or 5 times. But I think when you're looking at the broad picture, those people that can really lift, that was their opportunity to really get some points.
I would have to say I watched you, and your misses were close. You would catch it, and you'd be in your squat snatch position.
Yeah.
And I always
wasn't stable.
Yeah, and it always looked like you were about an inch forward.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah. And I was just like, fuck. If you just if you just brought it back a little, and I'm not saying boo in the middle of a workout.
No.
Never. But I was just watching it, and I was like, you could have gotten 5 of those were 5 makes. You brought the bar overhead, you were in an almost stable position, and it was just the position of the barbell, like just a little bit.
No, so it's a good point that you bring that up, because you take me away from this, right? Like we've talked about this at our ages, right? And we're not the same age, but we're masters, right? You can't, like, I'm honest with people, you're not going to get much stronger. But I also say this, that my issues with snatching are not only about strength. I could overhead squat it, I can pull it, but my mechanics are off, my techniques are off, my bar path is off, where I'm getting the bar to at the end is off. Maybe some of my mobility is off, right? So that's where I want a lot of masters athletes to take in, that if you feel like you're old and you're not going to get stronger, that might be true, but are you actually lifting to your true strength capacity right now? Most of us are not.
No, I got 25 pounds of headroom there if I could just clean up what I'm doing.
Yes. So that's something I want everyone to always keep track of, like, because I hear that a lot. It's like, oh, I'm old, I'm not going to get much stronger. You're right, you're not going to, but you can fix your technique and you can work on your mobility. When we talk about the average 35-year-old loses 2% of their VO2 max we're talking about the elite of the elite. We're talking people that are actually at their peak. Like a lot of us might not be at our peak, or we have technique deficiencies, right? So that's something that's a takeaway from that workout that me personally, it's just like, hey, there are certain things that if you want to be able to go snatch in a workout like that, there's something you need to clean up to get that bar path a little bit better. I don't remember seeing the top score in that workout.
Yeah.
But I believe I saw a 50. That means like someone got 10 snatches at 245.
Really?
Because there are minute rests. So when you do your 10 reps at a weight, they make you rest a minute, and that's when you add weight to the barbell.
Yeah.
And the fact that there's 2 minutes of rest in that workout, and no one's struggling with 135. Most of those guys don't struggle with 185, but at some point, 225 gets tough for everybody.
That Giannis Papadopoulos got...
That guy is a monster.
52 reps.
That's amazing.
That was he was first in that workout.
That's so impressive that he got over 10 snatches at 245. You guys should go look him up on Instagram. He's a fun guy to follow, just like what he can do with his body. But yeah, that was event 3, and event 4. Oh, that was the high school one. That was a fun workout.
Yeah, so this was not a big guy workout. It was in 12 minutes complete, 50 GHD sit-ups, 8 handstand walks, 25 feet each handstand walk, 50 GHD sit-ups again, 8 handstand walks again, and then max rep bar muscle-ups in the time remaining, 12-minute cap.
Skill. Like, I think after the open and quarterfinals, some people were complaining that there wasn't enough heavy lifting and then there wasn't enough skill. And this is where I like to look at, I don't like to evaluate programming until I see the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And at this stage, Now you have open, quarterfinals, semifinals. That's 11. That's 14 workouts that you can now look at. That is what brought people to the games. So now you can't say anything about, oh, there isn't enough heavy, or you can't say there's enough skill, because this workout right here, if you are not a good gymnast, you got slaughtered in this workout. I think the one round of 50 GHD and 200 feet of handstand walking, it wasn't that bad, but the people that have like real capacity in those movements, that's where it shows up, is the second round, the second time through, because to start off GHDs with tired abs, tired hip flexors is really tough to do. And then to walk on your hands for another 200 feet after all that is really tough to do. I know people that are really good athletes that couldn't make it 25 feet. You had to go 25 unbroken.
Right.
So there were no like 5-foot sections. So if you could walk 24 feet on your hands after that and you hit the ground, you had to go all the way back to the beginning. So that's where I really like the fact that this is why I love the programming for the weekend. You had the heavy stuff. You had the kind of like weird stuff that no one tests. You had jumping and pulling your body weight. And here's another workout where I want everyone to keep track of. You can do some math in your head. Quarterfinals and semifinals, not moving an exterior load.
Unfortunately, this was the only bodyweight workout that they had out of the 6, really.
Yeah, I do think that the box jump rope climb one was majority bodyweight. Okay. But yes, you're right. But that workout, this is why it's like, if you ever want to get to the highest level, if you can't move your body weight across all different movement patterns really well under fatigue for high volume, at some point it gets exposed. So what's most impressive to me, though, are the guys in my division that are 220, 215. They murdered this workout. Like,
really?
Yeah, they got like 40, 50 muscle ups.
How many did you get? You had like 4 or 5 minutes left, which was insane, I thought.
Yeah, I think my tiebreaker was like 8:20, so I had 3:40 left. I didn't touch the bar for 30 seconds. I think I got 26 muscle ups in about 3 minutes, which is like kind of like where I think I would be. Like tired, that's where 30 muscle ups I think usually takes me about 3 minutes. So it's like that. I was happy. That was the one workout I kind of walked away from. I'm like, all right,
that was your best workout. It was 15th place.
Yeah, and again, it was another one. I kind of underestimated the crowd. I was like, man, if you can get 30, you're probably going to be in a really like top 10, top 5 spot. But really, you need to be like 35 to 40. And one thing that was hard, this is something I want people to keep track of in the future. If you're like I'm a sweaty guy. Like when I work out, I get really sweaty. I like to keep a shirt on for a lot of when I do muscle ups on bar but I didn't wear one because I don't like wearing a shirt when I do handstand walks. I just like not having anything on my body. And I got to the pull part, I was just sliding all over the place. Like you get up there and like I'm normally used to getting up onto that bar and just going right into the dip. But like I would get up there and slide forward, slide back, and like hold it up there. And my upper body was lit from the bench press. And that workout was just like a real, like I would love to do that one again in like a month or two, just with a different approach.
I was wondering why you're futzing around with the t-shirt. Was that because you were trying to put it on and you just were like, okay, screw it, I'm not going to put it on?
My wife brought it up. She was like, do you want me to wipe down the bar? I'm like, I don't think you're allowed to. And so I tried to wipe it down. I'm like, I'm not going to waste my time doing this. And then I looked at it. It was inside out. And I was like, fuck it. I won't put it on. But I kind of wish I kind of went into that saying, just put the shirt back on, because the dips would be a little bit easier. But I don't think it would have made a huge difference.
At this time, you already sort of know you're looking at a really big hill because you had gone 25th, 28th, 20.
And I knew the snatch wouldn't be good.
Right. Yeah. So you're sort of maybe do like, what's the thought in your head at this point?
I mean, I wanted to do as well as I can. Like I told Ash, so this is actually a conversation that happened after this workout. But because like a lot of people supporting me here, and like, like when you get your butt kicked, everyone's like, "Oh, Dave, you okay?" Like, just so you know, I'm good. Like, I'm fine. But I understand and respect that people want to check in on that. And I remember telling Ash that night, and I had this approach for this workout. That's why I'm answering the question. But I also had the approach for the next day. Is no matter what, like don't quit when you're in the middle of something. So like I'll always tell Brock that unless you're injured, like if you have a real reason, then like, hey, walk away. I wasn't, right? My body held up. If I decide to move forward with competing or not, right? That's still kind of like up in the air right now. You need to know where you stand in certain workouts. And like, this is like the best opportunity anyone could ever have to see, like, all right, where do you really stack up? Like, if you kind of go into it with like a shitty attitude and just whatever, I just want to get this done now, you won't know, like, where do you stack up in a high skill workout with some of these guys? You know, if I kind of like went 80% and stopped halfway through, I don't know what I really need to work on. Like right now, like I already have a list of things that I need to work on that I did not know I needed to work on. And that is because I gave my true effort. Right? If I gave a half effort, I wouldn't know. Or I'd be one of those people like, oh, like I could have done that. Like I just didn't. So that's kind of where my headspace was at. Like I knew pretty early on that not because like lacking confidence, I just knew mathematically, like I'm kind of out of it. And some people don't understand that part of the sport, and that's okay. I knew going into Sunday that I was out. But I didn't come into it with like this, whatever, just want to get this done. Like I came in like do my best. And let's talk about the last workout.
Okay. I do want to point out that you worked around regular gym class schedules.
Yeah.
You worked around people. You did the Snatch Ladder in between 2 Saturday classes, which was kind of nuts. I felt like it wasn't optimal in terms of setup, environment, all that sort of stuff. And I know you're not the kind of guy to, rearrange everything just for what you're doing, but I also felt we might have been able to set up a more supportive environment and time and schedule for you in order to get these things done.
I mean, it's always tough to do that. I mean, I got so much support over the weekend, so like I'm like overly thankful for that, and I don't expect that either. Just so anyone knows, like if this ever happens again, but it's tough to do. And I know other gym owners, like I know a guy named Craig Kenny from Connecticut. I think he made it, or as of right now, unofficially made it. He's the same thing. He's going there at times where classes are not running. And I tried to do my best we could say like, yeah, I had to fit it in between classes, but I also had like you and Ramsden and DeCarlo help me out by coaching Saturday morning. Like those are things where I did get a lot of help with that. But we also have deadlines when we have to do these workouts, right? And you have to basically do them by 3:00 p.m. And I was trying to, in regard to this snatch workout, I was going to do it Friday afternoon once the password came out. And we got to talk about that, the password.
Yeah.
But I did not, because I redid the bench press workout. Because I redid that, I kind of had to rework the schedule. Like I originally had that snatch workout planned for before 4:15 Friday night class.
Oh, I see.
So I kind of had to make that last minute decision. And I also knew I had to do the handstand walk event. I did not want to do that event and then snatch after. I didn't think that would have been a good idea. It's possible that you could try to move things around, but this is why I would expect other people to compete that are doing it if you're trying to get to a high level, you do have to make a lot of things like personal, meaning like you don't want everyone, like I'm not comfortable when people move things around for me or like cancel a class or do this. Like,
I know. I know. But I feel like sometimes you gotta be a little selfish when it comes to stuff like that.
And I feel like I am, like, to a point, I just have an end point to that. But I'm not, you'll know, like, I'm never going to be the guy that says, like, oh, I would have done better if I had this. I hate when people talk like that, so I won't. But, I would say if anyone wants to, if you're out there saying you want to do that someday, 90% of the actual weekend is you planning it out as best you can. Like, and I think a lot of us, I've been through this before. Like last year, the quarterfinals, the Age Online qualifier, so much stuff going on that weekend. Like, you really do need to, if anyone wants, plan on Memorial Day weekend next year being this, if you want to get to this level. And if you like to go to the beach, then don't sign up.
I feel like you did a better job clearing your schedule this year, but
I did, yeah. Not the best.
Not the best.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
I'll put it on the list. All right, that's fine.
All right. The last workout, which was on Sunday, was a death by wall ball, basically. Every 2 minutes, 25 wall ball shots, add 5 for the next 2 minutes. So then 25 the first 2 minutes, 30 the next 2 minutes, 35 the next 2 minutes, until you can't complete it within a 2-minute interval. It was a 20-pound ball, but to an 11-foot target, which is 1 foot higher than the normal men's RX, which is 10.
A big difference.
Yeah, so let's start with that.
Yeah, that workout, I mean, you can do some quick math in your head. You're basically going to do Karen plus. Like, minimum would be Karen, which Karen is 150 wall balls. That when we do it as a gym, everyone complains about it for 2 weeks.
Yep.
And that's the 10 feet. And I practice it early in the week, just kind of seeing how long does 15 take, 20 take, 25, 20. And basically, it was every single set was 2 seconds per rep. So when you know that at what set is it going to get really, really spicy? Because if you have 15 reps left and there's only 30 seconds left in the interval, you got to go right away, and you got to better hope you don't get a no rep. And I did get a few no reps from Ramsden, where the ball just kind of hits the tape, doesn't clear the line. And when that happens, it doesn't mentally ruin you, but it's like, oh crap, I'm off pace now, because now I need another 2 to 3 seconds. And I tried to draw out a strategy for myself to just break everything up from the beginning, so I never felt tired until it got to like the set of 40, 45. But it's like any death by. If you've ever done a death by here, it goes from not bad to impossible at the snap of a finger.
Right.
And that's what happened. I got into the 50s, and during the set of 50, was interesting. You've already done Karen by now. So you've already done 150 wall balls. You are in that set knowing that you're not going to advance to the next one. But then in your head, you're like, I want to get every rep I can. Like, everyone else is stopping. So, like, you got to get 38 instead of 36, because that might make a difference.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And Joe Piero pointed this out to me yesterday. He's like, it might have been a bad decision. I don't wear lifters for anything other than really, really heavy cleans or snatches.
You wore them for the wall balls.
I wore them for the wall balls, for the squatting, but also because I thought I'd be squat cleaning my squat clean and jerk. So after this event, there was a 1-rep max clean and jerk.
Right.
So I just I don't want to change my shoes. I'm just going to wear them. But my quads were cramping after the wall balls. I think I did 217 reps.
Because you're leaning slightly more forward, so it's a little more quad dominant.
And the wall ball's in front of you, so you're just like more forward. And I got done, and I'm like, all right, I feel decent. I sat down, got my first barbell ready, and I stand up, and my quads immediately like cramp. Like I was like, oh boy, how am I gonna lift? So I had 2 ugly lifts. I did 227 for a safety.
Yeah.
247 for a secondary safety. And then at this point, again, I was saying I'd rather be aggressive, make a mistake, and if I lose, I lose. I mean, I had nothing to lose at this point. So I went to 287, I think. And I failed it. And I didn't even try to squat clean it. That's my one regret, is I tried to power clean it, because I was like, if I catch it, I'm probably not going to be able to stand up, but I should have tried to squat clean it to see if I could. Because my legs were shaking, like they were cramping. As I was going down to grab the bar to start the lift, they're cramping. So I basically tried to pull the bar just using my back and my arms. And I wonder if I tried to just simply get under the bar, what would have happened? I don't know. But I failed that lift, so it ended up being a 247, which is a terrible number. But again, I went for it. I didn't really care about coming in 20th place in a lift.
Because you only had 5 minutes anyway.
Yeah, and you don't touch the bar for the first minute.
Right, you have it right.
So basically you have 4 minutes to lift.
Now, when I watch you do this, the first thing I would say is that your wall balls got better around the second to third interval.
Yeah, once you find a flow.
And it was so nice. I loved watching that, because you would catch, come right into your squat, come right back up. It was perfect, especially because
find that rhythm.
Yeah, and that's the key with wall balls, is just perfect repetition every time.
Yeah.
And you had huge sets where it looked awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't really think about the weightlifting shoes, but you're exactly right. That's why I don't like wearing weightlifting shoes, because it makes me more quad dominant.
They're a crutch.
And if you have good mobility, like I have pretty good ankle mobility,
yeah, I do too.
It doesn't really help me. It makes me hard. It makes it a little harder for me to actually sit back on my heels.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And I didn't even think about that for a bazillion wall balls, how that would mess you up.
Yeah, so that one tricky thing about this too is, this is part of competing life. I've had a little like a quad issue for the past, so if this qualifier was 2 weeks ago, I don't think I would have been able to do it. Like, I was pretty badly injured doing a very light overhead lunge, and I basically didn't really squat for 2-3 weeks leading up to. And that could have been part of the reason why my legs just maybe did not feel that conditioned to do that kind of abrupt, fast, aggressive movement over and over. But I also have never done wall balls in lifters before, let alone 200 of them. So I think that might have been an execution/strategy error. And no one told me to do it. I just made the decision to do that myself. That I'll put in the memory bank for whether it's myself or you someday.
Yeah.
You know.
The other thing that was a huge distraction was the technical issue with the video. So I have to tell you that bar none, the videoing is probably the biggest pain in the ass for every athlete. Universally, every athlete I've ever heard of who talked about doing these online qualifiers, getting the video right is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And here you had two devices, an iPad and an iPhone, both recording. They both crapped out in the middle of it. And I saw...
I was pissed.
I saw the face of the guys recording. They were like frozen. They were about to get hit by a train, and I didn't even want to go there. I was like, I don't want to know because if I find out, I don't want to. And then Ash comes over and is telling you in the middle of the wall ball workout, like
she should. So in her defense, like Ash should do that because I'll tell you this: if I was like in 12th place and I was in the running, I would have stopped, and I would have had to wait an hour or 2 hours and just do it again. So it would have been 400 wall balls, right? But when Ash came over, she came over and said, in the middle of one of my wall balls, said, it's like, Dave, both of your videos stopped. And like right there, I think I was 150 wall balls in. I was like, fuck it, I'll just do it.
I know how angry you were at that time.
I was
frustrated.
Very frustrated. I was frustrated. I was trying not to show it, but I think I did. I was cursing a lot, but I was not directed at anyone. I hope anyone didn't think like
no. It was not their fault.
Yeah,
it was
no one's fault.
It was the app.
The app
is not reliable.
So here's some advice. I use the WeTime app because it has a built-in clock, and that's one of the rules for filming CrossFit workouts is you have to have a running clock because there's some idiots in the past that have literally looped their video, which basically means in a 10-round workout, they taped one round and just replayed it over and over. They edited it. And so now that you need to prove that you have a running clock in the workout. So thanks a lot for that, whoever did that. But the fact that I use the WeTime app is only because there's a running clock in the video. And for whatever reason, it worked for most of the weekend, but it started to crap out later in the weekend. And I had 2 workouts where I used my backup camera.
Because the WeTime app would stop on the iPhone.
Yes. And
you can't put it in airplane mode because
you need Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it has to connect for some reason.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, I cleared all my storage. Like I spent time on that, hours on clearing everything. Everything was good. Battery was fine. Turned off. I went on do not disturb, no notifications, no phone calls, all this stuff. And I've had other people do this too. There was multiple people in my division that had to redo a workout because their timer crapped out. Same thing. So WeTime fixed that. And I think from now on, this is my advice is just use your camera and get a portable running clock and put that somewhere in your screen. But yes, I mean, even Brian DiCarlo came up to me and said, they got to do something about this. Like you get amped up, you get warmed up, and then you have to shut the whole gym down, no music, and go up on a ladder and show this and get the tape measure, show this, which takes time. Then all of a sudden you're like, all right, ready to work out, and hope that it works. And if it doesn't, your score doesn't count. It's a really frustrating process. And I always say, I don't bring problems unless you have a solution. I don't know if I have the solution yet, but I think about it all the time. I know CrossFit's out there. They just posted a job for someone to kind of help run the sports side, and I think this is what it is, like run logistics and scoring and all this stuff. And I think about this all the time. Like, what could I think of? And my only solution is have more live comps, but I know there's a lot of funding that is needed for stuff like that. But I'm jealous of Joe that he gets to go to Granite and compete. Like, I wish I could have done something like stuff like this in person, and that's part of my personal reflection process. But of what I want to do is the competing online stuff. It's just, I hate it. I really do. And
I was about to ask you about that because I've seen you compete at Legends. I've seen you do all the online stuff, and never am I going to tell anyone woulda, coulda, shoulda. The situation is always going to be what it is. And even Joe Piero says, I love competing live. I had to learn how to compete online.
Yes.
In order to get to where I am, to get to the Granite Games.
Yep.
But man, when I watch you do these workouts and I know where your mindset is, I know had you been 4 other people in a lane somewhere, like that is that would have brought out the best in you. Let's put it that way.
It means something for sure. So it might be more like a personal responsibility thing that if this ever were to happen again, and I know that there's no guarantee, maybe you hit up people that are within your, I don't know, an hour drive, and like, hey guys, I think we would all benefit if we met at this gym on this day, that gym that day, and we just literally compete against each other. We don't need to be friends, don't need to like each other, we need to try to kick each other's ass. And I think that's something that, looking in the future, I think that's something we can do. I don't know how many people, this is the thing that's also hard with Masters, it's worldwide. Like, half of my division is from outside the country, and then the other half are not from around here. So but with all the different divisions, like there's a few people in New Jersey. There's one, Stacy down in Oakland. Justin LaSalle is not that, I don't know where his gym is, but he's not that far. There's a guy, Mike Hearn, in Garden City in the 40-5 group. Like they're close enough that it might be worth not doing it at my home gym, or them not doing it at their home gym, if it means, hey, let's meet and do a little live face-to-face competition. Because it's competing to me has always been in person. Like, that's what flesh. But as Joe said, if you want to compete in this sport, like, you got to get good at doing this stuff on a clock, on a phone. You just do. And maybe that'll change someday. There's so many changes in CrossFit right now. Who knows what the picture will be next year. But
what are your plans now?
Reflect. I tell every one of my athletes after the Open, or whenever their season's over, like my season just ended yesterday, right? Take a month, reflect on it. And I'm someone, like, I'm not a fast learner. I'm not a fast thinker. Like, I like to take time to think about things. My passion to compete is still there, and my passion to train is still there. So if one of those were not there, then I'd be like, yeah, easy decision, out. But I'm going to do Legends, and yeah. That I'm going to do Legends, and I talked about that with Ash, and part of the reason is I don't need to qualify for it. I have the automatic bid, so I don't need to like amp myself up in August to qualify. I could just take time, heal my body a little bit. And my question from there that I still need to reflect on is this level of competition. What I like about the Open, quarterfinal, semifinal games pursuit is that's the cream of the crop. That's where everyone signs up for that. Like, not everyone signs, like Sam Dancer hasn't done Legends. I know some stuff about Legends that might change this year. They might get some more names this year just because of who's going to be backing it. But that's kind of like, this is my next step. I'm taking one step at a time. That I'll pursue Legends, and will I pursue this online next year, the quarterfinal, semifinal? Like, I don't know. I think that my reflection on this past year is I am proud of what I've done over the past year. I am proud of making the stage. Like, I know everyone's checking on me, like, Dave, you should be proud. I am proud. So I just want to put that out there. But I feel like anyone would feel like after failing a test or not getting a job you wanted or losing, like, that's how I feel. I lost. But I got lost by guys that are better than me. I didn't lose because my camera went out. I didn't lose because I got hurt. I didn't lose because I got unlucky. I can take that. I can take that on the chin, because I tell anyone, if you can't handle losing, then you don't deserve to win. And that's kind of like, I just lost, and I need to take that on the chin. So, like, I was upset about it, and I probably still am a little bit. Like, just did not meet my expectations, but it's not going to ruin me. It's not going to, like, if anything, it'll help fuel me, I think, right? Like, weak times create strong men, right? Like, that's kind of like where I'm at with that kind of thing. Like, when you get beat, you really can kind of put yourself up against the wall and kind of self-examine. I do know that I won't have my own coach anymore. Nothing against him. It's more just like lifestyle-based, that I think I'm going to train with Bison full-time, and then I'll do some of my extra stuff on the side. And I think that's going to be, how do I get better, right? Like, I do need to get better. If I want to pursue this, like, I need to get better, especially like with the new crop of 35-year-olds coming in next year, which doesn't scare me, but it is the truth. How do I get better at this stuff? And I think I need to journal a little bit more. I need to reflect a little bit more, and kind of use all the knowledge that I've had from Crafted Coaching, formerly OPEX, or Big Dogs, I should say, and really kind of come up with like a master plan, like what Joe said. Like, I got to try to not peak at the Open and quarterfinals. It's kind of, if I feel like I can make semis, that's when I need to feel my best.
I would say the one thing that I think would help is having training partners.
Yeah.
And people of like-minded or similar caliber, because I feel like when you had your frat league team, you guys really pushed each other well. And that's just hard, but I think that that's something that might need to really get you going.
Right. I agree with that. And like, hey, I belong to the fittest gym in the country. But I know that. Like, it's if I can't find like a person or two or three people that, and I hope everyone knows out there, like, I don't put myself on a pedestal like, you can't train with me, like, I'm too good. Not that, I'll never think that ever. I think it's more about being pushed, like winning and losing some. Like, I have people in this gym that are much better at lifting than me. Like, maybe it's on me to get in on the days to lift with them. There's people that are here that are faster than me. The people that are better at gymnastics than me. So if I can't find that, yes, in my ideal world, I can find a few people that every day we line up our schedules and train. That would be awesome. I'd be all for it. But if I can't do that, I have enough talent at this gym to, if I can find ways to get in front of them and push them and they push me, that could make me better. And that's part of the reason why I made the decision to kind of stray away from having my personal coach, because I think the programming was awesome from them. He's helped me with so many different things, but there's training by myself. Maybe I'm not disciplined. It's hard for me to do it now. I don't know why. It's harder for me than it was. I can always train, but there's some things I feel like I'm not really pushing as hard as I need to, and sometimes it just needs some outside energy. So that's CrossFit 101.
I just want to say, I know that we're all very supportive and very proud, but I want to reiterate it again. I think it was amazing to watch this past weekend, watch you do these workouts, and I think for everyone who loves competitive CrossFit, who also loves the recreational side of it, this is such a interesting mix, because we know you as our programmer, the person who coaches, who helps us with our movements, and then to get to this high level, this elite level of competition, and then watch anyone, good or bad, succeed. I've seen you succeed on the open and then on the quarterfinal level, and then seen you
fail.
Have challenges.
You can say fail.
I would say be challenged on the semifinal level.
Yeah.
I think anyone could take away a lot away from it, especially even as a recreational athlete. This is really as much of attitude, mindset, fixing your deficiencies, addressing your weaknesses, not having an ego, not sitting there thinking, I'm the best at everything. Mm-hmm. And I would say that was the biggest thing I took away is that you can't be successful. First of all, you can't be successful without failure. And then the second thing is that you can't have an ego regardless at what level you're at in order to become better.
Yeah.
And I feel like if at any level, even at the highest level, you see that makes me understand what I have to do at my level in order to become better.
Yeah, I hope. I really do. I feel as a competitor, as a coach, I really do want to blend the two. And if you can call it try to inspire or just like show by example, like I get this all the time when I'm at the gym, where somebody's like, oh, you can't relate because you can do so much of this and I can only do this. I'm like, we're all struggling with the same thing. It's different flavors, but it's all the same struggle. And that's why I love about CrossFit is there's one person that wins at the end, one guy, one girl, and everyone else didn't get there. And I came in 28th, I think. That's where it ended up. To me, I truly mean this. It would have meant the same if I came at 11th, because you didn't make it to the next stage. And we all go through that. And I really do think I made an Instagram post about this a few weeks ago. Like, I am the same person before and after this, right? Like during and like right after, and like where it kind of stings a little bit. Like maybe I'm a little quieter and I don't talk as much. But these kind of like tribulations and trials, like they're not going to change who I am. And like that's what's most important to me. And I know I'm in a position here not to like, again, no pedestal here, but like I do know there's some leadership here that I do need to show that you can be upset, but you can't change because of that. You got to stay on that same line. So it's the same thing as after winning Legends. I don't come back in here and be like, I was back to work the next week, after my rhabdo went away. But I do. I try to have the same approach after winning and losing, because there's benefits to both. And I know that truly to its core.
Would you really have been the same if you got 11th versus 28th? That's BS. I call BS.
No, I really would have been. If anything, I think I would have been more frustrated, because I've been like, if I got one more. But to me, it was. I try to make things black and white in situations like that. Like you make it or you don't. And I wouldn't feel good about myself if I came in 11th. Like maybe I'd be a little less embarrassed, but it would be. I didn't make it. And just like, I'll tell you what, if I did make it, like, I ain't going there for the experience.
Well, I would say you would have given your max effort at 11th or 28th regardless.
For sure.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So that part is going to be the same no matter
Yeah, I
what.
mean, maybe down the road when I'm done doing this, I'll look back and be like, yeah, like, no, I wish I came a little bit better. But still, I wanted to make it. I wanted to go out and compete in person. And hopefully, I mean, I would love for CrossFit to come up with maybe more avenues for people to compete in. At this time last year, that quarterfinal stage, the top 20 made the games. And so if this was last year, I'd be able to go out there and do my thing out there in person. Hopefully we'll see what changes come our way. But it's in the rear view mirror once this podcast is over and once I'm done like really reflecting about it. I'll go on vacation soon with my two favorite people in the world and come back, and I should have kind of a clear plan of what I'm doing from there.
Thanks for sharing, Dave. I appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time out of your day to listen to the Herd Fit podcast. Be on the lookout for next week's episode.